Hi, I'm Shayna.
And I'm Tracey, and we are the creators of The Pump A Dump Show. We are moms, but we were women first. And in this podcast, we explore what it's like to be a woman who also happens to be a mom.
Before we were moms, we were women. Before we were moms, we were chilling. We were pumping and dumping. We're talking about something. This is the Pump A Dump Podcast.
Welcome back, guys. Episode 7. Here we are.
This is our first podcast where we've actually been drinking.
So this is an Ask Us Anything episode. We've gotten all your questions. Thank you for sending them in.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't particularly love talking about ourselves.
I mean, I guess that's the whole point of this podcast is to voice ourselves.
Sure, but the theme of the Pump A Dump Show podcast is sort of examining womanhood through the lens of being a mom. So we still can talk to other people and not just ourselves, but we're talking about ourselves a lot more than we normally do on our live show.
And so we decided today, since we'll be talking about ourselves extra, that it might help to have a Bloody Mary.
So we're drinking.
Mainly because it's 11 in the morning. We've been working since 7. But it's time for, maybe it'll just help us get a little loosey-goosey.
Yeah, we don't normally drink during the day and certainly not during our podcast, but this Bloody's going down real nice.
And this is, as Tracey said, this is exactly when the school will call that one of our children needs to be picked up.
We'll be responsible, we promise.
Yeah.
But cheers.
So
Cheers,
if you hear like clinks and cheerses and
it's just ice cubes in a mason jar of Bloody Marys.
Zing Zang brand, actually.
Yeah, it's my favorite Bloody Mary mix, Zing Zang.
Never heard of it before.
It's so delicious. You don't even have to do anything to it.
Certainly not. I added a lime.
Oh, a little.
Were you
citrus.
impressed with me?
Good job.
I decorated your drink with a lime.
Why didn't you add it on the side?
Oh, you know why?
Why didn't I have some skewer with like a slider and a shrimp and a piece of
pickle?
corn and a pickle and like a
Chicago
morel
style
mushroom.
Bloody Mary? No, I don't think anybody does Bloody Mary bars as well as the city of Chicago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know that I've had a Bloody Mary in Chicago.
I feel like that is where it's at on Sunday mornings, a Bloody Mary bar.
But isn't that isn't that like a thing now though? Universally, like all the hipsters you make these Bloody Marys and there's literally a sandwich on a skewer.
I don't know any hipsters.
Me either, but I hear that that's what they do. I see pictures of it on Instagram.
We just get stuck in their beards.
Anyway, we're not having hipster Bloody Marys. We're having vodka with Zing Zang, and it's delightful. And welcome to our Ask Us Anything episode.
Okay. So let's just go through these questions that you asked, and we will do our best to answer honestly and judiciously. Nope, maybe not.
I don't know what that means, actually.
Oh, the vodka. Okay. Do you guys have a ritual before going on stage?
Yes.
We do. We do?
We do.
I have a thing because I'm superstitious.
Yeah.
Which I now get to brag about. I do 30 push-ups before every show.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't, I feel like if I don't, we're going to have a bad show. So therefore, I'm always, and it's a little bit embarrassing sometimes when I forget to do them. And then like the tech dudes are standing around and we're like literally backstage and I'm
She's like, oh guys, sorry, I have to do these 30 perfect push-ups. Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. You're watching me be a badass.
Oh, thank you for calling them perfect.
Well, they are. You're so strong.
Preach.
I have no upper arm strength and never will.
What's your...
Well, our ritual. And then we always play a song before we I don't know if it's
before
legal.
we walk on the
legal
stage
to actually admit we play it.
Yeah, there's a certain song by Will.i.am.
Sure.
I got it from my mama.
That we played from day one, the first show that we ever, maybe the second show, but.
And so that song plays and we kind of just get in the groove.
And we dance
around backstage. I usually get a slap on the ass from Tracey.
I do that.
And you've hit me so hard on the ass before that it has left a bruise. Remember that time you slapped me on the ass and you accidentally slapped my vagina? Because I was bending over and you slapped.
I do. I've never bruised you, please.
You're a pretty hard slapper.
I do. Well, sorry.
That's it, I guess. I mean, usually, unfortunately, we're just so fucking busy reading cards before the show and getting ourselves together and dealing with tech stuff and that there isn't much of a ritual besides those things.
Yeah, and we always ask for a bottle of Chardonnay, which lately we don't even drink.
Right. We've been nervous lately.
Right. I mean, it's just too much. But we'll usually drink it after the show.
Yeah. And that's
it.
That's as difficult as we are. We ask for room temperature water. because cold water is just like not as good for my singing voice.
Yeah.
And then we ask for a bottle of Chardonnay and 2 glasses.
Right.
And then sometimes we have like a sip before we go on stage.
Mm-hmm.
How did having children change your married life? In what ways is it different or better?
Oh, well, we tried for so long to get pregnant, and that was so hard on our married life that I have to say I've never seen my husband happier than when I was finally like officially pregnant.
Aww.
So we've just been so happy ever since. Ours was like a good turnout because we just wanted that kid so damn hard that every day we're just so grateful. So I think our married life is good.
That's nice.
I know.
That's very
Kind
nice
of
to hear.
Sad right now. Like happy sad.
Happy sad. Yeah, I mean, we had been together for so long, and I think Chris wanted kids the second we met. So 10 years later, and it took us a while to have Georgia too, and we'd had a miscarriage, and I think that it was just a really easy transition for us, like super easy at the time. Of course, we are blocking out, probably the vodka is blocking out, the resentment and all that other shit that happens when you're a brand new mom.
Well, obviously.
But ultimately, it was exactly like what needed to happen next. Mm-hmm. And I always appreciate that we were married so long and together so long. Like we were together for 5 years. Yeah. Then we got married, and then we were married for 5 years. Right. And then we both had time to have fun as a couple, as a married couple, before we settled down, which I'm very grateful for, that we had all those years just together doing our thing. I remember when Chris was like, we had the conversation about having kids, and I was like, but we haven't traveled, we haven't done this, we haven't done that. And he was like, dude, we live in New York City. We're never going to be able to afford to do anything.
This is our travel.
Let's just have the kid.
Yeah.
And he's right. I was 33 when I had her, and 34 when I had him.
Right.
That was easy. And yeah, it was just the next step. So it's been good.
I will say, now that our kids are a little bit older and I feel like life is just so busy, this has just happened this morning. So full disclosure, I was in the bathroom pooping.
Full disclosure.
Evie was eating her breakfast and Johnny was yelling. We had a conversation. I'm like, I have to go to the bathroom. And he just continued the conversation like from the other room while I was going poop. And then Evie at one point goes, can I interrupt and ask something? And Jonathan goes, no, I'm talking to your mother. We don't get a lot of time to talk and I want to finish my thought. And I thought that just summed up like a busy family, because he's just like,
while you're pooping.
It's like, we don't have time. I have to leave soon and we're not going to see each other for 10 hours. And
oh my gosh.
So that's changed, I guess.
Sure. That's romantic. That's life though. That's what's so cool.
Yeah.
I also have to say that when I think about the birth of my son, which was only 18 months after the birth of my daughter.
Oh my God.
I remember looking at Chris when they said it was time to push and like holding his hand and being like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. But then I remember like, literally staring into his eyes while holding his hand and thinking about all the love. And pushing, like what
pushing out
I wish I could have seen my face, like what he saw, because it must have been terrifying.
Oh my gosh.
Because I just stared into his eyes and I held his hand and I just went, and that fucking kid came out in one push, and I just pushed him with love into Chris's face. Like I was just like, I didn't push the child into his
Sure.
And that's the description of our marriage.
I'm into that. Pushing out the love.
Pushing out the
love. How did you meet and how have you maintained your friendship?
All right. And if you haven't heard, we met in the 8th grade. I still remember where we were standing. I don't know if you do.
Not really.
There were trailers in back of the school.
Oh, right.
And we were outside there, like outside the trailers. And I don't really remember the conversation, but I remember thinking, oh my God, she's talking to me.
That's crazy.
Well, you were like really pretty and really tall and blonde and a cheerleader. And I was not very pretty.
Stop that. Okay, first of all,
I was missing 8 teeth till I was 16.
I had a full mouth of braces. I had a bad perm. I was completely awkward. Whatever. We never think that we were. I'm the kind of person though, once I meet someone, if I meet someone, I know instantly if I'm like in love with them, and just it was like,
aw,
just loved you from the minute I met you.
That's so sweet. Yeah. Thank you. It was good. We had we became really good friends. We're really good friends all through high school, like hung out all the time. Like I still have mixtapes we made together.
Yeah, sure. But sadly, like we cannot find any photos together.
It's so weird. Because there weren't selfies then. I have pictures of
you know?
Right.
Yeah, I have some pictures of you.
But very
there's
rare.
No recorded history of our love.
But then, so recently we had a show in Seattle and we had to drive to Portland. And we decided to turn on like all of the music from every stage of our lives. So we did from like earliest memory to like elementary school to junior high. And it was so funny because all of a sudden we started playing songs that were from our life together.
Yeah. And we were just like singing and crying.
Oh my God, it was so great.
Basically all just Sarah McLachlan.
There was a lot of Sarah McLachlan in those later years.
So yeah, it's funny. You look back on so many years and how many things that we've shared. And then we maintain it because we work together.
Yeah, certainly.
It's like a marriage.
Well, you have to maintain it.
Sure. Yeah.
For that reason. Yeah. But no, I'll still remember, occasionally we kind of break it down and say why we're in love. And it's like when you say something lovely to me, I remember it. If I feel, because I feel who you are, and our friendship does run very, very deep. So I think that's obviously why we can work together too. And we just have a deep level of respect for each other.
Very much so.
And it's interesting. My husband won a trial yesterday. He's an attorney.
Another reason why we're drinking Bloody
Marys. We're very excited.
It's a very happy day for the families.
I'm just still drunk from last night. But I will
crying
say,
over text to Shayna because he won it.
I was so excited. And we were talking about how he did it with his partner, Connor. And they did a great job and they worked together, and they had a couple days where they were frustrated with each other. And then they had days, last night as we were having drinks, they were just, tooting each other's horns and being like, you did this so great. Oh, you did this so great. And when we were driving home, I said, gosh, it's just so great that you guys got to work on that together. I said, Connor, I don't know who could have done that case alone. And Chris says, you can never do anything alone. And I thought to myself immediately, like, how incredibly valuable this partnership is with the Pump and Dump Show, because wow, this is why we drink. I know, this is why we were drinking today. This is like a totally different podcast. Wow. But essentially I was a musical comedian for years and years, and I did have people say, like, look at Tenacious D, look at Flight of the Conchords. Those, when there's another person to support you, it's a completely different story. And I remember thinking, well, I don't need that. I do this thing. But ever since I found you, it has supported what I do as a comedian so much. And again, this is looking from my perspective. Obviously, we have a partnership in many other ways. But it made me think of that and how valuable our partnership is, and how we could never, this Pump and Dump show could never have happened with just one of us.
Conversely, me as a performer, I didn't particularly I hated the like movie industry or the film industry, and I just needed a partner to get me back on stage and like to collaborate and find my voice and find our voice.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
Love you.
I love you back.
Have you ever fought? Yes.
She's a fucking bitch.
No, yes. Of course we have.
Of course we have. But honestly, we fight less than in our marriages, I think.
You and I fight less?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Well, we don't hate each other as deeply as you can hate your husband. It's a very
there's like a whole other, there's layers and layers in a marriage. Sure. We actually just had.
We did.
But what happens is, like, something bothers us. We have to end up having to talk about it.
Unlike a marriage.
Yeah. And then we, I think we're pretty good at listening. And then you deal with it. It always happens in the most stressful.
That's the most of our fights are when we're just drowning.
When we were filming our first music video, we fought in the hotel room.
That was a low point.
It was a low point.
That was like an epic diva. Like, we went to the bathroom and slammed the door and screamed. I think that's the only time we actually like
yelled at each
other.
Yeah, and that has to happen sometimes because you're so fucking tense and there's so much pressure. I know that it doesn't seem, you guys are like, wow, you have a comedy show and a podcast. How much pressure can there be? But we're drowning.
Yeah. No, I mean,
it's a lot.
It's a lot for any business. And I mean, frankly, as a performer, you don't know, you're putting yourself out there. It's different than creating a handbag and letting the handbag speak for itself. It's just us.
Sure.
We're our product.
Right.
Unless you want to buy a breeder t-shirt, which is available online.
Conveniently available at the pumpanddumpshop.com.
But yes, we do fight and we do bicker and we definitely disagree. And that is okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if we had the same opinions, we wouldn't move forward.
Right. Do your families ever travel with you?
No.
Not very often.
No. Sometimes we plan trips around if we're going to a place that we have friends or family.
We took the husbands and the kids to Disneyland last year for the girls' birthdays.
After two shows.
So they met us there. And then sometimes San Francisco because we have family there. But no, that would be terrible. Look, if I had a nanny, like I would love to bring the kids.
Oh
and
my gosh.
they love each other. So it'd be great to have somebody just taking care of them. But, it's not like we can hang out with them. We literally work all day, work all night.
Yeah.
All right.
How do you two balance decision making?
That's a good question. We've always had really specific roles. It doesn't mean that it's always easy, but I think for the most part, we kind of know what our roles are in the business, and then the people who work with us have their roles. And so Tracey and I are the honchos who make the ultimate decisions. But I think we know what we know more about. So for example, you'll always defer to me how something looks graphically, and I'll defer to you on, statistical marketing decisions, strategic marketing decisions. But have a pretty open dialogue about that stuff, I'd say. Yeah. It kind of works out. Again, I don't think that Tracey and I have discovered the secret to working together. I think that we happen to be the right combination to working together. Right. I don't think we could write a book on making a successful partnership. I literally think we have the skills that complement each other. Even performing wise, sure. I do the music and it's it kind of goes together. But I will say, if it's a decision on where to eat, if it doesn't have specific things that Shayna needs, then that is, I would eat nothing but. And I have deferred green juice, you 3 times, but you're doing better. In Portland, you made me go to a vegan place, and I ate there. You did, and it was delicious. And I really tried not to complain. I know you did, but she still remembers it. See what I'm talking about? I already moved on. It was fucking so horrible. Oh my gosh. See, and I eat a lot more hamburgers than I'd like because you have to. You're just a pickier eater than I am, and I need meat. You are, and I can't eat like you do. So that's a problem. But you used to call me Mick Jagger. Because I could put anything in my body and be fine. But then I had a kidney tumor. And then we were like, oh, but she's not I know, but she's still Jagger anymore. Tumor's gone. Don't worry, guys. What are your hobbies outside of work? You gotta say that on the microphone. Did I say it into my Bloody Mary? I was talking into my straw. The question was, what are your hobbies outside work? Oh my God. Do we have any? I do. Okay, well, go for it. Well, we know I like to cook. I consider that sort of a hobby. Sure. I have recently discovered birds. What? I love birds. I have bird feeders and stuff in my backyard, and I have a little book that I mark when I see new species. Shut the fuck up. I did not know this. You did know this. You just yeah. Oh, I put it out of my, I just blacked it out. You how much I love the birds. Oh my God. I had no idea. I'm someone who needs to find other things to think about. We should have Adam Caden Holland on the show. Is he a birder? He's a birder. But he's also going to be a new dad. The baby's due in 2 weeks. Oh my God. I'm telling you, these damn birds, you guys, wouldn't you all be so excited to listen to a podcast about birds? But they're so delightful, and it's so fun to see. I don't know if it's because I live in a city, and it's like you're communing with the only little bit of nature that's out there in this crazy city. But it just happened this summer because I had my hysterectomy and I didn't have a lot. I couldn't do a lot. And we finally finished our backyard for the first time in 12 years. And I put up one bird feeder. I don't even know why. And then now I have 6 bird feeders and a bird bath. And I was just Googling last night how to get a solar
paneled like a solar run bird bath for the winter because I'm already concerned that they're not going to have water. I love the birds.
I have nothing to say to you.
And I read a lot.
Okay.
And I like my oils. I've recently started making my own like cleaning supplies.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I honestly, I don't know if I have any hobbies. I'm kind of upset about it. I do yoga.
Yeah.
Is that a hobby? No.
It's
That's an upkeep.
Well, no, but you love it. Like it's a challenge for you. Like you've told me like you want to be like a
90
yogi and being like doing whatever those things are where your legs are over your head and stuff.
Fucking. Yes, please.
90, that's
90.
a visual. And she says she wants like that like bright red hair when she's 90.
I do.
So I imagine you with all your tattoos with your legs over your head.
My one tattoo.
And now you're making me think of Chris and I just can't deal.
Sorry. I need a hobby now.
You probably
Shit.
do.
Fuck. All right. I did go through a knitting phase. You have told me I should knit again.
You do need a hobby. It's good for you. It's good to like get your mind off.
I'm always in. Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah. I need a hobby. You guys, if you have any recommendations, write in.
Give this girl something to do.
pumpanddumpshow@gmail.com.
Okay.
Okay. What is the most difficult part of being on tour? Traveling.
Yes.
We love doing the show.
Mm-hmm.
I know it seems weird and a lot of it does happen in the moment. I mean, so much is really like we fuck around up there all the time. But people don't understand that even the stuff that we do that we've done before, right? Like every song that I perform, every segment that we do, we are really having a good time up there.
Really are.
We're really in the moment, like
having a ball,
having a fucking great time.
And it's fun at this point. Like we can just speak with our eyes, and I know like.
Yeah.
When you've done something
when
weird
I've forgotten something.
Sure, me. Or when it was particularly funny or it was an inside joke that we just said. And anyway.
No shame in admitting it up there. Yeah. I mean, so the shows, that is exactly why we do it. That's why we go through the hell of traveling.
Yeah.
It's just like people ask and I say 10 years ago, it just would have been so much easier physically. And I don't mean to be like some crotchety old lady because we're not. But it's exhausting.
Right. And you all know how hard it is to have 4 or 5 hours of sleep with a newborn. But there's times where we've worked for 12 hours straight in another city and then have 3 hours of sleep and then have to fly home and then be moms again. And it's really hard. It's really hard physically. That's the worst part. Oh, what do your husbands think? Okay, can we talk about this?
So this is our publicist wrote this in to be funny because it is, if you were to ask us like what is the most annoying question that you always get asked by interviewers, which just tells you where journalism might be today.
Well, and it just tells you oh my gosh, Bloody Marys. I'm gonna have a sip. It shows you how far we need to go still as a culture to think that the default of asking two women who created a business just to toot our own horn and are traveling and doing fine, and that the biggest concern from someone who's never met us as we're in a town where the show is sold out that night, and the first thing they ask is, what do your husbands think?
It's amazing.
What the fuck do you think they think? They're thrilled. Who cares?
And also, did you ask Jim Gaffigan that, who has 5 children
and a wife?
Do you ask
Adam Sandler
what his wife thinks about what he does?
Right. Or Bert Kreischer, we love you.
Do you ask them who takes care of their kids?
Yeah. I mean, it's
we're always, like their parent, their other parent.
It's actually their legal obligation to take care of the children that they make.
Trust me, we realize how lucky we are that we have partners that are willing, because we travel this country, and I can't say that that's true for every mom out there.
No, but I do think again, to all the working moms out there, I think as performers, it's a different perception, but we have so many friends who own their own businesses.
Are in tech business. They're gone for weeks at a time.
Yeah. And no one asks what your husband thinks, like what your husband thinks. Like, it's just we need to move on from that. We need to drop that question, I think, because.
Right. I mean, I would ask us that question. Like, I would say, when our kids are teenagers, what do your children think about all the shit you said about them?
Which we actually don't say that much, really.
We don't. But, it's such an interesting thing to hear. And I think we used to be really nice about it when people would ask
now I'm
at
just
first.
bitter.
And now we're always just like, can we move on?
Yeah.
It's not a very fair question.
It's not fair. Let us know if you agree, but that's our... You asked.
What do your husbands think? Wow, they think we're harlots.
I know. I don't even know how... I honestly don't even know how to answer that. They'd be like,
I would rather you ask what my parents think about like my filthy fucking mouth.
Seriously.
Which is an interesting question because they used to see me do way worse than this.
Right.
Do you still travel for fun even with all the work travel?
That's a good question. I try to.
We tried. Honestly, our spring gets completely fucked.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if we're going to be able to. But
I was just out of town this weekend with my mom for her 70th birthday.
Yeah.
My sister and I took her to Santa Fe, and it was actually really hard for me to leave for the weekend.
But it's worth it when you do it.
Well, I mean, I haven't been on a road trip with my mom and my sister for like decades, and it was so great. But I mean,
did you get your mom high?
No, we didn't. Got her. We drank her a lot though, but no.
You drank her a lot. Do you want another bloody?
Maybe. But my heart pounding on Sunday, desperate to get back to my family, which is the same in any city.
Yeah.
But knowing then we're leaving the next weekend, it was real hard on me, even though it was a one-off. But
okay, what do you do after shows?
It's so glamorous. So, well, first we get to hang out with all the audience members and
that
talk
is glamorous.
And take pictures.
That's super fun.
It's so fun. And then we have to pack.
We're huggers. We want to talk and hug everyone. It's
and now we're wearing natural deodorant. So sorry, y'all.
I've solved it. You solved it for me.
I know.
Spray Crystal.
I know. No, Crystal.
Right, the spray.
But it's called something else.
No, it's Crystal. That's what it has been the thing.
I know, but it's not just Crystal. It's like Thai Crystal. It's called Thai Crystal.
Then I'm doing something different than you.
Well, you need to show me your thing. I'm sure you are. Not your thing.
You want to see my thing?
I've seen it. I don't see it anymore. So then we just pack up, and then we're starving because we didn't eat dinner because we were at the theater, and then we just try to find somewhere to eat.
Wait, we generally have like a couple of chicken fingers from something.
Which, as you guys can probably guess, I never want to eat. But there was no Sprout and green drink available for me at the club.
And so after the show, we are generally hungry, generally can't find food.
No.
Do have a drink. It is always celebratory because we're always just sort of like, God, we made it through that and these moms were so great.
Sometimes we'll cry because we hear amazing stories.
You have no idea how many Hilton Garden Inns I have begged the bartender to stay open and give us a drink.
And they don't, except for Nebraska.
And also, little known fact about me versus Tracey, I love to talk to strangers in hotels.
It's really
like,
weird, you guys.
I want everyone's story at the bar.
Know. And
she just ignores us, and I'll be in like a 20-minute conversation with some, business person about this or that. I love it.
You do.
I'm real into it. And it's not sexual. It's not like a hitting on situation.
No, she's just genuinely interested.
I've heard some great stories.
You have, and I'm just so tired. Also, you should know that I am a terrible sleeper, like the worst sleeper. And Shayna, I think if she had to, could sleep standing up. Like,
oh no,
you're like, I'm gonna take a nap, and then you just close your eyes.
And you're not a napper.
I'm not a napper. I'm not a sleeper. You just close your eyes, and then you're just asleep. It's fascinating to me. You can sleep on the airplane. I can't sleep on the airplane.
Listen to this.
Oh, we might have to refill. These weren't very big, but obviously, Zing Zang, man.
Okay.
This podcast is brought to you by Zing Zang. Where were we?
What made you want to be an actor? Oh. Singer. Tracey, what made you want to be a singer? What were the early days like?
Oh.
Tracy has a Star Trek story. This is what
our
friend was like, Tracey, tell the Star Trek.
So I got my SAG card by being on I think it was a 5-series arc of being this like alien from some Earth planet. It was like an earthy planet.
Now you're going to have to post the photo.
Oh, I will. So it was really fun because I was head to toe in body makeup. So I had like prosthetics on my face, and then I'd wear like a loincloth, and then I was covered in like this red clay, and I had to sit in the makeup chair for hours, and I got paid so much money for it. And I got my SAG card, which is a huge deal if you're an actor, because then you can do union work and make more money. And then they liked me a lot. So I would go back, and I was often a Vulcan. And I have to say, I thought I was kind of cute as a Vulcan.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of Star Trek. And then I got my after card by being a maid on Days of Our Lives, which was a personal bucket list goal for me.
I was a maid on Guiding Light. So
right.
that is something we have in common.
But I was always a Days of Our Lives person.
Well, I was in New York, so Guiding Light was in New York.
Right. But I mean, as like just as a person, did you ever, like, what were the soaps that I feel like everyone was raised
to watch?
Yeah.
Oh, Days. For sure.
Days. Yeah. So when I met Bo, and he complained about me being too tall, and then I wasn't asked back because he was mad that I was taller than him.
I didn't know that. You know, my son's name is Bo. Obviously, you know that.
Yeah.
Hello, people. My son's name is Bo, and I've always had an affinity for Bo. That's not why we named him Bo.
Everyone liked Bo. He was so cute.
Well, apparently he was a total asshole.
Well, he was to me. But all the men, I mean, not to sound like an angry feminist, but I did an interview once where a man had to stand on a stool. Or like
he wanted to be taller than you?
Yeah, he couldn't stand that he was shorter than me. I mean, for Christ's sake.
Crazy.
So that's those are my two funny stories. Tell us
from our early
early early days getting started.
Well, yeah. I mean, I know it sounds totally crazy. I've just never not done this. Mm-hmm. And the way that I ended up doing comedy was because I went to very serious acting school in Chicago, moved to New York City, and had some really good friends who we were just a bunch of assholes together, and we just thought we were so fucking funny. And we started a sketch comedy group called Fearsome. And for Fearsome, I started writing. I had some ideas for songs, which we were just talking about how I was watching Adam Sandler's new Netflix special, which I highly recommend.
You just said Netflix.
Who cares? I highly recommend, but it reminded me like where all of my inspiration came from, because this is back in the day. This was many years ago. And so I started writing these silly songs for our sketch group, which I produced and wrote and performed in. And it was the only way when you're a young actor to be doing something. Mm-hmm. You know, I could perform 4 or 5 times a week anywhere in the city just by being a comic. And it's so different than just waiting for an audition. And then between that, I would work as a waiter here and work as a waiter there.
Well, yeah, we both waited our way through the East and West Coast.
This is a good one. What's the most fucked up thing that's happened at a show?
Oh, God.
Why don't you tell this and I'll pour some more Bloody Marys?
Well, there's the two. So there's Columbus.
There's always Columbus.
So we
literally.
Oh, she's leaving. Okay, so she's gonna have to help me because I block these things out. I'm a good repressor. I'm German. So we got on stage, and the slides stopped working and the mics stopped working. So there was no, and if you've seen our show, half of it's very interactive and there's all these slides behind us. There's, we use the slides to tell our stories, and she's dropped ice on the table. And you could take the glasses to you. Oh, she's making them on the table. That's going to work out. And then in Virginia Beach, sometimes moms don't get to go out a lot. And sometimes moms don't get to go out a lot or drink. I totally get it when you're newborn and you have a drink and you're wasted for 5 days. And there was a table of moms right at the foot of the stage, and they had been drinking and drank a little too much. And this one mom had a souvenir hurricane glass that she ordered from the club, to bring home with you.
With a blue drink inside.
With a blue drink. And as you can imagine, it made her sick. And she threw up into the hurricane glass, as only a mother would, by the way. Puked to the rim of that glass, not a drop of puke anywhere in the club. Threw up but it was right below my feet, and I just watched it happen while I was talking.
And then she made a phone call.
Then she proceeded to call someone while Shayna was singing. And was like, "Can you come get me?" And was just talking on the phone as if we were just not there. With her hurricane glass full of throw up in front of her, and then she just got up and left. That's pretty amazing.
Where are we? Oh, have you ever had to miss an important moment with your kids while you're on the road? How did you deal with the guilt?
Oh, I missed her first tooth falling out. Johnny did that and proceeded and didn't have any cash and took $1 out of her piggy bank and then put it under her pillow. Mm-hmm. That was sad.
I scheduled a show on George's birthday.
I was sad. That was rough.
Completely forgot. Just didn't put it together.
Yeah.
Had to do the show on the birthday.
That was a rough one.
Yeah. I did my best to kind of move forward. She didn't, like she was so young.
Yeah.
Chris is such a big proponent. Like if you don't make a big deal out of it, they're not going to make a big deal. And so that's what we did. It was essentially like a successful fuck up, but I felt real bad.
I think the thing that's worse for me is leaving when she's sick. That's the hardest for me. And when she had her tonsils out, if you guys have ever had kids who've had their tonsils, it's like such a long healing process. And then I had to do a show, and I just basically been in bed with her for days because she was so tiny and she'd just been sick for so long. And then I had to do a show, and I was real sad at that one. That was rough. But
So basically, how did you deal with the guilt? We didn't.
Yeah. You never do.
You never do. Okay, here we go. I read you often share a room on tour. Is there something each of you do that drives the other person nuts?
Shayna?
Tracey? Oh, wow. Okay. We're actually, the reason we share a room is by choice. We've been hired by other people besides ourselves to do things, and they've gotten us separate rooms,
flown us out and given us separate hotel rooms.
and we're like, no, thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing drives me crazy. You're just a little bit messier than I am because I kind of like everything to be a little bit neater, but I just straighten it up. It's not a big deal. You do leave tissues.
I was waiting for that.
That's not the worst thing in the world. It's just you use a tissue and you leave. I don't know what you used it for, I think is my bigger concern. And then it's just like out on the counter, and it's just a thing that drives me nuts. But otherwise.
Which is hilarious because then she gets together with my husband and then they collectively talk about how it drives them
you have a
nuts.
tissue issue.
I do.
You have a issue.
I do.
What about me?
Oh,
sorry.
What drives me nuts about you? Nothing really. You do always claim the one luggage rack. Like it's never even a question.
It's not. It's so funny. I never even thought twice about it.
That maybe I didn't want to bend all the way over.
You know what? Because your stuff's always kind of strewn about.
Sure.
I just assumed that it was me who needed the rack.
It's just a height thing because our backs.
Oh, I'll give you the rack next time.
It's okay. I would feel weird taking
We could call it. How do you think Kate would feel if we asked her to call ahead and ask for 2 luggage racks?
How do you think the hotel would feel?
Kate would quit. She's like, you guys are fucking ridiculous.
we have quirks, I suppose. But it's fine. Like Shay can't sleep next to the air conditioning for obvious reasons.
I like to sleep to the wall.
Well, and she needs a wall beside her.
So when you walk in a room and there's 2 beds, there's always a bed that's closest to the wall, kind of by the bathroom.
And she has to have that
me.
bed, no matter how bad I want that bed.
Sorry, it's always because the other one's always closest to the AC, and you're usually hotter.
I am. Well, nowadays I'm really hot.
Yeah,
that's it. Really.
It's pretty. I remember the first trip we went on together was San Francisco. And I remember thinking afterwards, like, we can travel together. You are a total, this is totally perfect. And that was it.
Easy peasy. Have your kids Googled you?
God, please don't.
No. She's barely allowed on the computer.
Well, there's that. Sure. Yeah. But when they are that age, I got to be honest. And now I know saying this, I'm going to regret saying this because now all of you are going to go Google me, but yeah, it's not great.
Yeah. Your Google is deep and raunchy.
Well, here's the thing. Comedy was very different in 2002. And that's when we started.
And Me Too was not around then.
Me Too did not exist.
And political correctness was not as...
There's a lot of shit out there.
Funny, but gross.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that never happens. I do have another name. I use my husband's last name for school, etc. And I'm hoping my kids aren't smart enough to catch on to that.
I'm just never going to let Evie on the Google. Then we don't have to worry about it.
Okay. What is backstage like? Green rooms?
Oh, well, it depends on the theater. So
they used to be different.
So we'll just talk about now. So in a theater, backstage is pretty cool, actually. So it's often giant and vast because it's a huge stage. So there's all the bells and whistles that come with other massive performances coming through. So there's, there's curtains, and then there's ropes to pull different things up and down, and there's lights
But there's now generally like a lovely place for us to be where there's...
Well, that's the green room. I'm just talking about backstage.
Oh, sorry.
So it's kind of chaotic, and there's a lot of like, unfortunately, just only guys, which I mean, not unfortunately, but I just wish there was more women that worked in tech. But, you know, a lot of guys with headphones and lights, like flashlights and microphone.
Who are dreading our show, but then they see our show and then they're like, talk to us for
so a lot of
an
big
hour after.
boards with a lot of buttons that we don't understand.
Yeah.
And it's very cold.
I'm freezing.
Because it has to be, because when you go walk on stage, the lights are so hot, then you start sweating. So they have to keep it really cold backstage. And then there's the green rooms where we hang out,
which generally are pretty sweet. So recently we've been, I get so starstruck, like all the posters of the people that have been there. There's almost always a Jeff Tweedy poster.
So that's, you guys, that's the funnest part. So it's half the time these green rooms in the big theaters, often the green rooms are down like in a basement. It's almost like a catacomb. Like you go down underneath these old historic buildings, and there's all these rooms, and then there's people that have signed the walls, and there's posters with signed, and it's all like, we fangirl out because it's all either cool rock, you know, bands, or it's comedians.
Or remember the the only time we ever played Largo, which was like a bucket list thing for us.
Oh my gosh.
We walked up and the two posters outside were Jeff Tweedy and Sarah Silverman. And I was like, I'm home.
And then we went in the green room, and Steve Martin, there was a signed photo. Steve Martin is my everything. I've read, it's just, he's, you know what I'm saying? And it was like, gosh, we're just sitting. Yeah. We're sitting in the same room that Steve Martin sat in and Sarah Silverman sat in to go perform on the same stage. It's amazing.
It's super rad.
It's so cool.
Now, if we had to backtrack a little bit, it's just a little bit different. For as fun as comedy clubs are, which they are, I would say, and I think it's safe to say, 85 to 90% of them are run by men. And the green room area usually has a toilet without a lid on it with a mirror above it. And that's where you have to put on your makeup.
And it smells like a cross between
cigar.
How do you describe the smell?
It's like it's a there's always a couch that's like a musty.
It's, you know, it's like smells like prostitutes and broken dreams. That's what it smells like.
But not, I will say, Comedy Works Denver,
owned by a woman.
Lovely. But for the most part, I went and I don't, this is honest, and you can catch me if I'm not being honest, T, but like, I don't have a lot of diva moments. We walked into a club, I won't say where, and I had to ask them to clean the toilet before we went into the green room because it was such an open, it was like if you were sitting in the green, you would be looking at this like nasty toilet. And it was like a pretty big diva moment for me. Like, excuse me, hi, I'm Shayna. I'm with the Pump and Dump Show. Nice to meet you. Is there any way you guys could clean the toilet before we go into that room for 2 hours?
There was another club, we won't say, where the green room, I'm using air quotes as I say this, was was just a sectioned off area with like a couch and a mirror on the floor in the staff offices.
Oh God.
And so you're trying to get ready, and when we were there, two people were having an argument. You know, next to their computers, there's like computers and copiers and lamps and phones.
We're lucky if there's a lamp.
Well, no, we had no lamp. We had to ask for a lamp. And we're just sitting off of their staff offices trying to get ready on the floor with no light. And they were having an argument. And then we had to go on stage. And it was real weird. And then I will say the best green room to date is in
Milwaukee.
And
we had our own barista.
There was an entire coffee bar. It was, again, down in a basement.
I was like, is this a restaurant? They're like, no, this is your green room.
It was giant. It looked like a restaurant in a cafe.
The Pabst
Theater. It was a dream. So there was a whole coffee section with our own barista who's just waiting for us to give him coffee orders. It's just the two of us. I mean, I felt like we ordered coffee just to give them something
Then
to
they
do.
gave us coffee.
And I'm still drinking it because it's delicious. And then there was an area that just had a record player and like vintage records and a couch that you could just listen to records.
And an arcade.
There was an arcade, all free, by the way. Then there was a whole eating area with tables and chairs.
That's what's for Jeff Tweedy. What they don't understand is we're not Jeff Tweedy.
And then they had all this food for us. There was a whole, like one of those Coca-Cola coolers, but it was filled with hummus and vegetables and sliced meats and fruit and sodas.
Oh my gosh.
And beer. And we had like 2 bites of everything.
Listen, y'all give me a meat plate.
I know.
That's all I need.
That's all she needs.
That was real good. A couple more questions and
we're
done.
almost there. What are some products that you can't travel without?
Tracey can't travel without her oils, which I am now dependent on.
Right, yeah.
I'm like, did you lavender my bed?
I know. She's like, you didn't make a spray? Like, so mad at me.
Where's the spray? Because, you walk into those hotel rooms and they generally smell like orange, lemon, pledge.
Toxicity.
Yeah, toxicity. So I appreciate your oils.
And the oils in the green rooms that smell
God.
very important.
What else products?
We play a sound machine on Shay's phone at night so we don't have to hear each other
I
breathing.
do that every night. I'm a sound machiner.
I'm trying to think what else.
I'm a white noiser. Perfect bars, miso soup, turkey jerky.
Essential oils.
We're basic.
Yeah. Last and final question we've received. What's the best parenting advice you've ever received?
I was just thinking about this the other day because my friends had a baby.
Oh.
When we were dealing with the sleep issue and cried out issue, my girlfriend who had a baby about a year ahead of us said, your kid will learn anything in 3 days. If you can make it through the 3 hard ass days, you're going to make it through. Now, full disclosure, I can't tell you that this worked with my second kid.
I love Bo so hard, but there's nothing that's being learned in 3 days with Bo.
Exactly.
I think it's by choice, but it's not happening.
He's a hard-headed kid. When we tried what she said with crying it out, she said, pick a time, set a time. If it goes past that, go in there. If it doesn't, know that it's going to end. So we decided on 20 minutes. I think that's what she had done, which is awful. Okay.
It's the longest 20 minutes.
The longest fucking 20 minutes of your life. I'm like crying in a fetal position in my bed, listening to her screaming in the room next to us. At like 16 minutes, I was like, I'm going in there. At like 18 minutes.
You want to cut your wrists.
And at like 19 minutes, she fell asleep. The second night, it was like at about 14 minutes. The third night, earlier than that.
An easily doable 9.5.
Easily doable. Again, it did not work with my second kid. But I was like, that's great advice and a good way to kind of keep perspective. Like if you can attempt a 3-day of anything, same with potty training, right? Like you got to go cold turkey. We went cold turkey with both our kids. It was not 3 days. It was more than that. But committing.
Never backtrack.
And
that's interesting because I had my girlfriend Katie told me you have a new kid every 6 weeks. So whatever you can't stand right now with your child will change in 6 weeks for better or for worse. And that got me through a lot of shitty 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's true, literally to
I would
minute.
say 3 weeks. I mean, I feel like it was always, remember how Georgia and Evie were like 3 weeks apart with everything?
Yeah, because you like Georgia would do something and
you'd be like, oh, Evie's not walking yet. I'd be like, give it 3 weeks.
Give it 3 weeks. And then she did it. Like 3, it's fascinating. That's just not that many days of life.
No.
But the 3-week thing. And then I will say I was in New York on business when Evie was really young and she wasn't sleeping because she had reflux and she just was, screaming. And this woman, Olga, if you're out there listening, Olga, just said, you need to read Baby Wise. It saved my life. And she goes, everyone hates the book. It's super controversial.
So like a baby who lives in the gutters, like Pennywise. Like she's like a red balloon and like a baby who like eats your other babies. No? Not Baby Wise?
No.
Okay.
It's actually more dramatic because it's like it's like wrap your baby up and leave it in another room and don't turn back until they submit. but it worked for us. That and then
Does it work with 8-year-olds?
Okay.
This might be the most fun podcast
We might need to do this
for us.
We hope you enjoyed hearing about ourselves.
Learning. Yeah. It seems a little self-aggrandizing to just be like, we're doing a whole episode about us, but we hope now you know us a little better.
And we promise we won't do it again. But we cannot promise that we won't drink Bloody Marys when we record a podcast again, because I'm kind of into it.
We might have a whole Zing Zang episode.
Oh, Zing Zang. Zing Zang, call us. And then obviously Vionics. If you've been listening to our past episodes, Vionic shoes, orthopedic slippers. But someone asked me, what were those slippers? So I need to post it because they are, I mean, they're so good, you guys.
And again, if you're going to go nasty with your slippers, you might as well leopard print them like I did.
I disagree wholeheartely. Those slippers are so goddamn
sometimes
ugly.
I wear nothing but those slippers, and that's all I'm going to say.
Shayna, no.
We are on tour. We got a tour update.
Okay, so
We're sober now.
we're sober now. That happened a couple days ago, and we just got back from Iowa.
Yeah, it was really fun and really, goodness gracious, it was cold.
Oh, it was cold. Yeah.
Oh, it was like you want to punch somebody cold. Like it makes you angry in the inside and the outside cold.
It was definitely cold. However, I was blown away by the moms in Iowa.
Oh, it was so
It was one of the
fun.
best shows ever. They were so kind. They were a generous audience.
Oh.
They were listening. They were
Clapping, singing, hugging. Everybody was wonderful.
It was the people who worked at the theater. We were at the Angler.
So nice.
They were so
Angler.
nice.
Funny story about the Angler. I'm still like so shocked about it.
Oh yeah.
So
this is
apparently they
awesome.
had like this theater. It's a historical theater, very beautiful, and had a fire. I can't quite figure it out. I feel like it's a lot of anxiety if the fire happened back in 1929. Maybe there was a more recent one too, but there was a very big fire that was a big effect on everybody. And so they're very cautious about having another fire in this theater. And the green room is downstairs underneath the stage. It's very old. And so we walked down there and the manager is so sweet, took us to our room and she goes, oh, and just so you know, I'm not sure if you guys knew this, but you can't spray any hairspray down here because it'll set off the fire alarms and the sprinkler system. Aerosol will trip it off. And I'm like,
And neither of us had done our hair yet.
I was like, oh, so I'll just go in the hallway. She goes, no, nowhere down here. You cannot spray hairspray anywhere. And then I look around and there's signs everywhere. No hairspray, no smoking. The password is like no more fires for their Wi-Fi. I shouldn't have just given that away.
Well, I don't think that was the exact one, but yes, like we're not giving anything away. It was so weird. And then they were like, but there's public restrooms upstairs if you guys want to use the restrooms, as if Tracey and I are going to like go up in our like fancy costumes and just start hairspraying like with all the moms. Like it was just so awkward.
So Shay went up and like walked up the stairs, the 2 flights of stairs to the stage and just like sprayed her hair where she was allowed to see if it would stick. And I just gave up.
We just kind of went with
it. Anyway, but that was just funny to me. That's a very intense fire system.
Well, I'm glad they told us, because we would have like set off all of the
sprayed the shit out of that place. Gotten arrested apparently. But it was great. It was great fun. The real low point was the 12:30 a.m. Taco Bell.
Oh, I almost forgot about that.
I haven't. Well, my ass hasn't forgotten.
It was pretty. We were hoping to find food. This is the problem with some of these towns, because we were actually staying in Cedar Rapids because there was an Iowa game. So Iowa City, there were no hotel rooms, and so
we had to fly into Cedar Rapids, so it's just easier.
Yeah,
to be closer to the airport.
And we had a 6 a.m. flight the next morning.
6 a.m. So
we got about 4 hours of sleep after eating late night Taco Bell while packing. It was super glamorous. But it was fun. We had 2 breeder correspondents from Guidance Guide.
Yes.
Who were lovely, lovely ladies. It was
Green Mama Goals.
At Green Mama Goals
and Mama E +3. Those are their 2 handles. Follow them. And that was really fun.
It was the first time we've had people they took over our Instagram stories, which was super cool. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of fun footage. And so that was a fun experiment in our world.
Yeah, it was. And we had a great time. 6 a.m. was rough.
Oh God, I'm still recovering.
I know. This one really did a number on me.
It was the Taco Bell.
Man.
But we are going to, it's going to be Thanksgiving. So we're going to take a week off. There will be no podcast next Thursday due to Turkey Day. But then we will be back the following week with a fun episode. And then we'll be traveling to San Jose, California and Sacramento, California. So we're praying for all of you guys out there, by the way, because we know that those fires are not good.
Seriously, my heart goes out to everybody. I used to live in California, and it's just I've had friends that have lost their homes, and I just can't even imagine you guys.
It's super, super sad. So our thoughts are with you guys, and we're hoping that maybe, you know, if we can offer some time to get your mind off things, that's all we can do, right? So we'll see you out there in California soon, and please enjoy your Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Before we were moms, we were women.